Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another sort of Game of Thrones video. Going to be giving my thoughts on a lot of the recent clips that have been released, and just my thoughts on how excited I am for Season 5. Okay, and spoiler warning if anyone's not caught up on Game of Thrones meeting up to the the finale of the 4th season. If you guys missed my reviews last year, if you're new to the channel, you didn't see my Game of Thrones reviews last year, what I can basically tell you is that Game of Thrones is one of my favorite series on TV. It's probably my second, It's really nice because The Walking Dead ends on the 29th of March. Then we have April 12th, the first episode of Game of Thrones starts or airs, and it is called The Wars to Come. Really, really cool. So that's, April 12th. It should be a Sunday night because usually it airs Sundays. Yeah, it is. It's a Sunday night. And a lot of people in the channel were just asking me they've been like, Trev, you haven't done any Game of Thrones videos for a while. How come? And, are we going to see, you start talking about Game of Thrones again because we know you've reviewed basically every season. One thing I'm considering is possibly doing throwback reviews to the first season. That said, though, Game of Thrones is a show that it evolves so far from each season because you have such critical character deaths where with Game of Thrones, of course, you see your main protagonist characters, or people say there's no real main character in Game of Thrones. It's kind of like a whole world in and of itself. But your main focal point of view characters are not safe. And I think that's one of the best things about Game of Thrones. It really sets it apart from a lot of other shows. Because you get a lot of instances and a lot of things that happen throughout the seasons, of course, where you just, you think something's going to go one way and it goes the other way. And then you think, okay, for sure this time, this is the kind of story this is going to be. And then it goes the other way again. So George R.R. Martin, he's a master at really keeping things unpredictable, keeping things spontaneous and not allowing the reader or the viewer to really get a good grasp of what's going to happen next. And, as the series goes through, you see so many different changes in terms of power, in terms of who's alive, in terms of even which characters we're following, thinking that, okay, we're going to follow this character. He's our lead. He's our main character this season. And then at the end of the season, he dies. You're just like, we can't believe it. And then a couple seasons later, similar type thing happens. So Game of Thrones is always, if nothing else, it's just a really, really amazing series that you just can't kind of figure out where he's going to go with it. You really can't. It's really interesting to just see. If nothing else, definitely an interesting show, and a show that's done with amazing high quality. I watched recently kind of one of those making of, they call it like a season 5 episode 0, where which you can watch online. You can find it on CouchTuner and sites like that. Just be careful of adware and stuff, you guys know. Don't install anything if you go to streaming sites, but that's a rule of thumb. Never install anything on a streaming site. It's always bogus usually. But you get to see how they actually make Game of Thrones. You get to see how they make the show, and man, it's just insane. They've got like all the time. They have either 2 different teams that are filming in different places on the planet, at the same time. Like each day you'll have a full-time team that's working in one location, a full-time team that's working in another location, and then even at certain other parts they may have like a third that's going, like in another spot. We're talking different countries, we're talking different corners of the globe. It's just, it's crazy the different, the amount of effort that HBO puts into the show. So definitely, if you guys watch the channel for Walking Dead, if you've never seen Game of Thrones, I can recommend it to you as the next best show to watch. If you like The Walking Dead, you're definitely going to like Game of Thrones. So just to kind of let my subscribers know who follow for Game of Thrones, who do subscribe for Game of Thrones, I'm sorry I don't make more videos on it. If I had more time, I would allocate more time to making Game of Thrones videos, because there's always stuff we can talk about with Game of Thrones, and I could do explanation videos, or I could do kind of preview videos, give my thoughts on what's going to happen next, even though we kind of already know based on the books. It's still fun to see when we actually see it play out in that super high quality that is the show that is Game of Thrones, in the environments they choose on the planet that look best suited for the actual story that they're telling, and it actually feels legitimate. You go to the wall, you see the wall, it feels like it's real. You go to see different King's Landing, and it feels like you're back in medieval times, like you're like the Dark Ages, and man, the deserts, and just amazing in terms of the environments and everything. The story, of course, always weaving and winding, just awesome stuff. So the first 4 episodes, the first one's called The Wars to Come. So, that's going to obviously be set up. We see there's some clips. You've got the wheel trailer, and then you got the first trailer, which are both awesome, really just getting you revved up for it. I'll put the links in the description of both of those. Amazing. Then HBO has also released a clip of Tyrion just hanging out with Varys, and they're just talking. He's like asking Varys, they're getting drunk, of course, and he's asking like, why would you save me? Why would you? He didn't see the spider doing that, so he's kind of asked like he's perplexed, he doesn't get it. So excited to see what happens with that. I hope that's going to be in the first episode, because you guys know Tyrion is my favorite character. He's one of my favorite characters in any series, not just Game of Thrones. He's like one of my favorite characters ever. He's just so much fun. So you got that scene. We also have the one with Jon talking to Mance Rayder about what they're going to do, because of course you've got the Army of the Dead coming. Who one thing is I like to see them more, but I know CG is really expensive. It's really hard to do, and it takes a lot of effort. So, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of the necromancer army of the dead coming towards the wall. And if he's telling Mance that if he doesn't join with them and add those numbers of wildlings to the army of the living, then the White Walkers are just gonna raise them back up and bring them with them. You can just add them to that army after they're killed by them. So they would just get even infinitely more strength if they're able to add all the wildlings to their numbers, right? So cool stuff. So interested to see that part of it. Stannis, another one of my favorite characters. Can't wait to see Stannis and his conquest, so to speak. He hasn't given up yet. He's taking a second stab at it now that King's Landing is a different playground. You have the Lannister power has basically at this point not dissipated entirely, of course, but it's taken a huge hit. You lose Tyrion, who's extremely intelligent, very crafty in war, very smart, basically was the one who defeated him last time, pretty much. And then, of course, Tywin, who he's like your kingpin. He's like your king if it's just a chessboard. Even though he's not actually the king, it doesn't matter. He's still like your most powerful man, your most powerful person on their side. And you've switched up the whole situation. You've got Cersei and what's going to happen with her. Episode 3 is called High Sparrow. So really, that's probably the most excited I am in the whole season, is to see what happens with Cersei and the High Sparrow. Those of you who read, you already know. Really, really excited to see that whole thing play out and how people treat Cersei now that Tywin is gone. Now that he's dead, how are they going to treat her, knowing that a lot of the things that she had done, now they have an opportunity, and the Lannister name has taken a huge hit in terms of power. Great stuff. Can't wait to see that. Then episode 4 is called The Sons of the Harpy. Episode 2, The House of Black and White. So really cool getting to see some stuff with Arya, High Sparrow with Cersei, and then The Sons of the Harpy with, again, Daenerys, my thoughts on her right now. Well, she's a fan favorite character. She's pretty much your lead. Most people, now for me, Tyrion's my favorite, and Ned and Robb probably, and Stannis. But for a lot of people, she is like their flagship character for Game of Thrones. So excited to see what happens with her in the TV series. And because the final books are not released yet, excited to see also after this season 6, season 7, what they do. Are they going to follow the same storyline? Are they going to have the actual same dialogue as A Song of Ice and Fire? Or are we going to see the stories diverge? Are we going to see them separate, where the TV series takes its own kind of approach towards the finale with its own dialogue and its own writing? Or is it going to be the same because the books are not finished yet? So that'll be interesting to see what happens. And of course, her part of that is going to be a huge part. And I'm sure we're going to see, as always, a lot of concentration on her this season, wanting to get to see her finally to invade Westeros, and just what happens with that, and how everything turns out. So don't want to give too much away for people that haven't read Song of Ice and Fire, but I would definitely say that after The Walking Dead is done, to my subscribers, anybody out there who hasn't checked out Game of Thrones, if you're looking for something for this springtime, Game of Thrones is your best bet, I would say. Check it out. Watch the first season. You can check it out online or HBO, stream it, whatever you got to do. Preferably pay for it legally. But yeah, definitely check out Game of Thrones, I'm saying, guys. And I couldn't be more excited for the season. The reason why I haven't made videos for every release of a trailer yet, it's not because I don't want to. I would like to every time, but it's because I always, when I'm filming, find myself ruining things or giving things away with what I'm saying. And I try really hard with the channel not to enter blatant spoiler territory. You know what I mean? And sometimes that happens with The Walking Dead, but with Game of Thrones, it's just even worse because it's exactly the same, basically. Not exactly. It's extremely close. You know, the ways that they're different are very minor. You know, for the most part, the storyline is the same, which is good, and in some ways, because you know it doesn't give us the opportunity to really predict what's going to happen next. That kind of takes away from it a bit with what I like to do, which is to kind of look forward to and think about what's going to happen. We kind of know. We kind of know with God. But yeah, it is renewed for a 6th season, and so we're definitely going to see that, and we'll have to see if we'll get a 7th season, maybe even an 8th season. I guess we'll have to see how long it takes them to wrap it up and what the pacing's going to be this season. It seems like it's going to be pretty fast, and it should be super high quality as always. So let me know what you guys think about all the different trailers for GOT. And you know how excited you are for the new season. I couldn't be more excited. Season 4 is my favorite season, and I would not be surprised if Season 5 beat that out because it just keeps getting better. Even when you read the book and you think this isn't as good as something that happened before, when you see that it had happened in the TV series, it makes it even better because they're doing it with such grand scale and quality that it just makes it feel even more epic than when you read it in the book. At least for me anyway, but that's because I'm a visual person. Maybe some people that are really into reading, maybe that's not the case for them, but for me it is. Anyway, so that's all I got to say for now, guys. If you have any video suggestions for Game of Thrones, go ahead and private message me. Go to the channel, click the About tab, send me a message. Say, Trev, I want to see you do this kind of video for Game of Thrones, and I can do it for you guys. Once I get time, which should be in about a week or two, should be fine. I should have lots of time. So that's all I got to say for this one, guys. Couldn't be more excited for Game of Thrones, and that's kind of everything, all my thoughts on the trailers we've had so far, is that just all around, man, Game of Thrones is awesome. It's really amazing. It's a joy to watch. It's so amazing. And the replay quality, you can watch it over and over again and just notice different things, notice different little intricacies, and man, really amazing series. So if you guys like this quick little video, please thumb it up below. If you want to help support the channel, please share it. Please favorite it. If you have a Facebook and you want to click the share tool below, I would appreciate it. And if you want to see all my Game of Thrones reviews, they're in the channel. Of course, when this season starts, if you want to get them in your subscriber box, you know what to do. All you have to do is be subscribed. Bottom left, click the subscribe, and you'll get all of my Game of Thrones videos as soon as I'm done making them for you guys. I'll be posted. Anyway, so for this one, guys, see you for the next GOT video. Can't wait for it to return. As always, it's Trev. Say peace.